What's going on, everybody? I'm your average gamer, and this is part 2 of God of War Combat Encounters. So I decided that in every part that I'll end up changing an armor set and all the runic attacks just to keep it fresh and stuff. I do overuse the Blessing of the Frost a little bit, but I mean, how can you not? It is one of the best runic attacks in my opinion. Every runic attack is very good, and you can use them in all different ways. So, you know, I recommend just experimenting with all of them. I do have a favorite though in the Hell's Touch, and then the Glaive Storm. You can do so much amount of damage in such a short amount of time just by pressing 2 buttons. It is kind of broken, but at the same time, I mean, you are the son of Zeus, you know, so you kind of expect to, you know, have really strong magic abilities. I don't hear Zeus's name brought up enough. To be honest, I think people tend to forget that Kratos is the spawn of one of the most OP written characters to ever exist. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand that Odin is immensely powerful and even more powerful than Thor is and what Thor will end up being. But Kratos did end up beating Zeus, and it's not like Zeus was holding back or anything. He was giving it all. He didn't give a fuck if it was his son or not. I'm actually excited to see what people's impressions are of the new Thor and compare it to the MCU one and stuff like that. You know, granted they have nothing to really have in common, but people are gonna do it anyway. Like the fact that Thor got fat shamed in both the movies and the game says a lot about the people. But anybody that really defended Fat Thor knows that, like, hey, that's prime Thor. One of my absolute favorite parts about like that entire scenario is you got to see who is actually invested in mythology compared to people that are just talking out of their ass. Stuff like that amuses me so much because it's like, I appreciate your input, I really do. You know, I will listen to it. But don't sit here and tell everyone else that they're wrong. Like, that's weird to me. People would bring up the MCU Thor and talk about how he was way more powerful before he gained all that weight. Okay. The MCU has absolutely nothing to do with any of this. I'm hoping that maybe they make some ties or jokes or references to the future MCU. I mean, but that's a stretch, but I think that would be a really cool thing to do. Like, imagine if the next game you find a shield and it's like made out of vibranium. That would be next level. Like, that word alone, vibranium, it doesn't have to be a colorful shield or nothing. Just hearing that or saying the dwarves made it or something, that would be a huge shout out to the MCU. I'm sure whatever Santa Monica decides to do is going to be perfect. I mean, you got to put your faith in them now after taking such an ambitious risk with this game. And it paid off. One of the worst experiences I've ever had with this game was right when I got it. Reason being was I was playing it for a while and I went to go take a break to eat dinner or something, and I was scrolling through YouTube and somebody had posted a thumbnail of Atreus' face putting low-key like exclamation point. I never disliked the video so fast, and everyone in the comments hated it. This was like one of the most disliked videos I've ever seen. How can you sit there as a person and either think that's funny, okay, or a good idea? Like, think about it. Like, you're sitting there, yeah, I'm about to ruin everybody's experience playing this game. Nobody's allowed to have the experience that I had. Can you imagine thinking that? Or being like, I want hundreds of thousands of views, this is the only way to get it. But how do you not sit there and be like, oh, you know, people aren't gonna like this? You know, you just gave away the entire game. Granted, I'm sure some people might have seen it coming. It's not the point. It's, you know, it's the whole point of playing video games is to experience everything for the first time. And when somebody takes that away from you, that just sucks. At least for me anyway. Anytime I play a game, I will try to take the absolute longest time possible, because I know once I figure something out or it's all over, it's over. It's like, yes, you can always play the game again, but everything you just experienced, right, is gone. It's over. And, you know, that is why I'm in love with video games, is you sit there and you can get so lost in it, And then when it's over, your mind still carries over so much imagination, you know? This game is a prime example of that. This game has raised the bar to such a high level, just for video games alone. I mean, what happens after you beat this game? You play it again and again. Eventually it gets dried out. You always come back to it. At least that's what I did. I always came back to it because there was no other game that really gave me this experience or an experience over and over and over again. That's fun, that's exciting. Granted, you're playing the same missions over and over again. You get to use different armor sets, you get to use different runic attacks, and you get to do so many different things with them and be creative with that. And that's why I always kept coming back. Plus, I would always figure out something new, a new part of the lore that I just didn't put too much attention into the first time. That's super fun, trying to piece together your own theories, your own puzzles. That's super exciting. And of course we have the combat. And for the combat to almost outshine, in my opinion, it does outshine the story a little bit, really says something about the combat. And I could look you dead in the face when I played this game on PS4, and I could have a straight argument with you saying that it was on 60 frames. That's how smooth it felt, at least for me. I had no idea it was on 30 frames. But yes, after playing this game on 60 frames, I could never go back. And highly recommend, if anyone has a PC or PS5, to play this game again, to have a whole rerun. Definitely worth it. If anyone in the video has made it this far, if you could comment down below saying God of War to let me know you're one of the special few, that would mean so much to me. I hope you guys get to stick around for the rest of the video, and I pray that I get to see you in the next one.
Choice. We make ours. Keep shooting, boys! I will clear our path, shorten the time between your volleys. A narrow path negates superior.